It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the day that you've all been waiting for. It is my birthday. Now, if you've been paying any attention, you'll know that I mentioned I would be doing a podcast marathon. I wanted to capture as many amazing women as I possibly could. And one day, because my schedule is so busy, so I was like, listen, let's just spend the day talking and, sharing with such amazing women, impactful women, excellent women, great women. And I have the honor, the privilege of having one sitting across from me. You don't see her, but she is the sunshine of the sunshines. This is something that we share together. I'm like, wait, people call me Sunshine too. She's like, what? People call me Sunshine too. So it's been a privilege. It's been an honor just to connect with her, even on some projects that I'm sure she'll probably mention in the future. So again, welcome to another episode of Sheba Shares. Thank you so much for celebrating my birthday with me. And let's just jump in. So Miss Linda Sunshine West, the infamous, the amazing, the humble, the beautiful, the grace. I mean, I could just keep going on and on and on. You are so special to me. And I want you to always know that all the time, that you matter so much to me. So share with us who you are, where you from, where do you call home? Talk to us a few minutes about that.
Okay, first of all, I want to start off with happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy. I gotta go on. Okay. So first, I gotta start with that. Now I know that of all the interviews you're doing today, that nobody else is going to be doing that, right?
That's right.
That's for darn sure. That's for darn sure. Well, my name is Linda Sunshine West, but Sunshine's not my given name. That name was given to me, about probably 2017 after I started my personal development journey. And it's been an incredible journey for sure, because I was not Sunshine before, and I turned into Sunshine. So it's kind of cool because that name was given to me because of something people were seeing in me. And this was after I started that journey. So it kind of like solidified that, you know what, I am doing well. I'm shifting, I'm changing, I'm morphing into a new person, and someone that I actually, for the first time in my life, I actually love. I love myself for the first time. So, I grew up in San Diego, California, and I know, yep. And I've only lived one other place than San Diego, and that was Boise, Idaho. And I was only there for 5 months because I couldn't stand the cold. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking cold there that I had to come back home to San Diego.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's so cool. I remember, I don't know, a memory is just coming to me in the moment when I was in high school. I took a program called Travel and Tourism. And we explored different parts of the world, the different aspects of travel and tourism. And if I remembered nothing else about Idaho, I remember Boise. If I didn't know nothing else about it, I'm like, Boise, So when you mentioned, I'm like, really, who? That's so amazing that you had that experience. I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, I know that you are the book publisher guru. I mean, I love how you just embrace it. It's hard, especially for women, to just praise or magnify the things that they do good, because it may come across if they're boasting or they think they're better but you, I mean, let me tell you, I study your social media. I do. I'm like a creep, but I look and I pay attention to the quotes. I feel the tone. I feel and I'm like, she is okay with who she is. She's okay, and that is just so wonderful to be in that space. And I know that you mentioned that you haven't always been sunshine and, so share with, how did you come to that place? How did you come to that just confidence, surety, I'm okay with being good at this. And it doesn't mean that I'm diminishing anything that anybody else is doing, but I'm good at this. So how did you talk to us about your journey? Share with the listeners.
Yeah, first I want to touch on that, because that is such a huge thing. Is I grew up in those kinds of environments that you don't talk about yourself. That's bragging, braggadocious.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? All that kind of stuff. And so I never did share who I was, and I actually really didn't even know who I was. I was a people pleaser. So I lived my life for other people. But I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. When I was 5 years old, I ran away and I was gone an entire week. Now, I just went to the neighbor's house, so I was safe. But what happened? But what happened in that week was really instrumental for like several decades to come. Is nobody came to get me. Since nobody came to get me, my 5-year-old little brain said they didn't come to get me because they don't want me around and they don't love me. So this was my belief that was locked in tight at age 5. My mom knew where I was, but I didn't know she knew where I was. So when she brought me home after a week, she called the neighbor and she's like, Linda's been gone long enough. You can send her home now. And when I came home, I became riddled with fears and I became a people pleaser. Now, to run away at 5 years old and be gone a week, that's a brave girl, right? That's a brave, strong little girl. Like I knew what I wanted and I knew what I didn't want, and I didn't want to live there. And so to shift that into this extremely fearful person is, was really what controlled my life and kind of the directions that I took. So I share that because I grew up in this very judgmental environment, very abusive environment, and to share my own thoughts and my own feelings and all that stuff, people, I felt like they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. And so I shrunk inside and I felt I had no value, no purpose. And I just lived my life that way, for 51 years until at age 51, when I met a life coach who really opened my eyes to who I am. And here's one of the things I discovered, because I love how you said that, Sheba, about, you show up as who you are, who you are, that confidence. I wasn't confident before. It was through the work that I've done, after like working with the life coach and then afterwards. In 2015, January 1st, I woke up that morning and I said, I have so many fears. I'm going to break through a fear every day this year. So 365 days in a row, I broke through fears. And that's where a lot of that confidence came from. But here's one thing I discovered during that year. First of all, my greatest fear kind of like lumped all into one big fear, and that's the fear of judgment. What are they going to think about me? What are they going to say about me? Are they going to talk about me? Are they all these different judgments that we have about ourselves, that I just always felt that everybody having those judgments back at me. So because I realized that that was one of my greatest fears, that was the fear that I was able to work on. And what happened is during that year, I discovered that when I quote unquote brag about myself, it's not bragging if you're stating facts. This is how I see it. It's not bragging if we're just stating a fact. Now, if I'm like, I'm better than you, that to me is bragging. And then what I discovered is when I started surrounding myself with people who are like powerful people, motivational people. Like, I hang out with a lot of, speakers and coaches and stuff like that. I found that those people never saw me as bragging. Why? Because they saw who I am. Like they see that this is who you are. And so they didn't see it as bragging. Instead, they would do opposite. They would be like, you go, girl. You're amazing. You got this. You keep going. I'm cheering you on. And they wanted to see me succeed. So what this told me was that when I had these fears of, of saying something about myself or talking about myself, that it was because I was around the wrong people. So then when I started hanging out with the right people, that was no longer an issue.
Okay, we have to stop right there because you have said a lot. That was so insightful, that was so insightful because your circle, I mean, there's a saying that says, let me show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. That type
Yeah.
of, and so that is just that's amazing. But what I love is the fact that you took action, and I'm stealing your tagline. You took action, and that's the thing. It's not so much just coming to this place of awareness, right? It's not even only just merely having a new circle, but it's actually taking action, And so I mean, your business is book publishing. I think that's the bulk of your business. I'm pretty sure you do other things, but share with us about that. I was trying, literally, I kid you not, I was trying to count. I'm like, well, how many damn books has she published? So share with us, what you have done, and then of course your plans and what you plan on doing in the near future.
Yes. Well, first of all, congratulations, Sheba, on being in our #1 international best-selling book, being a #1 international best-selling author. She is an overcomer. So I'm so honored to have you in that book. I love being around your presence. And this is why I keep coming around, right? Because I made a personal life declaration. You're going to love this. If you're listening, write this one down, okay? I made a personal life declaration a few years ago that I want to spend the rest of my life, having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. So I attract those people to me, which is who you are, Sheba. And so I want to thank you for honoring me and being in my life, because that's what you bring to me. Fun, positive, and uplifting. Okay. So I want to start there, but this whole process is kind of interesting. I was never a writer. I was never a reader. And I remember for so many years just saying, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. And then I was given this opportunity to be in somebody's collaboration book. He's my mentor. He was writing a collaboration book called Footsteps of the Fearless. And I was breaking through a fear every day that year. So he's like, this is a perfect book for you because you're breaking through a fear every day. And so I joined that book, and wow, that was a scary experience for sure. That I was going to be in a book, my name was going to be in writing, and people might actually think I'm a writer, but I'm not, all these different things that are going through my head. But my mentor, I listened to him, and so I joined that book. And then after I was done breaking through a fear every day that year, he asked me a question. So what are you going to do about it? You broke through fears, that's all cool and everything, but what are you going to do about it? I'm like, I think that's enough. I don't need to do anymore. And he says, no, you need to write a book about it. So I wrote a book called The Year of Fears. And it's like the lessons that I learned during that year. And then after I was done with that book, I asked myself a question that I ask myself frequently because I love growth. I love, growing and learning. And the question was, I was in a collaboration book. I wrote my own book. What's my next natural state of progression? I'm going to start putting together my own collaboration books. So that's kind of like how the genesis of how that all came to be. And I was just doing it for fun. Like I had no intention of it as being a business, because I never thought that I could be a publisher. That's for those people. That's for smart people, right? All these things. I was judging myself. And so I did that first collaboration book, and it was really cool because the circle that I am in, the show me your circle, will show you who you are. Like some of the friends I have are the founder of UGG boots, and the creator of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the gentleman who invented the credit card magnetic strip on the back of our credit cards.
Oh, wow.
These are some of my people, my friends. And so I reached out and said, I'm thinking of writing a book. Will you be in it? And they all said yes. So I was like, wow, I'm doing this.
Right.
I'm actually doing this. And so that was kind of the genesis of how this whole thing came to be. And then, fast forward 4 years after I started that, then I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I absolutely love this, and I'm damn good at it. This is what I'm going to do.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
I know what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, and I am damn good at it.
That's right.
And you know what, Sheba? That was tremendous, because what happened that day, I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my business. And the next day, I got a phone call from somebody who said, hey, I'm writing 2 books and I would like you to publish them for me. And I felt like, God was sending me this person to say, finally, you made it to the right path. Are you ready? let's go.
Let's go.
So,
Let's take
so
action.
here we are going. Yeah.
I love, you know what, you mentioned something I wanted to ask you. When you went through that year, right, of breaking fears, was it something that you documented every day? Like, how did you recall? I mean, so much, I could imagine that was a huge feat that you underwent. So how did you document that process for 365, 65 days to be able to put it into a book? That's amazing.
Well, I didn't document it, but maybe I did in a way, because I've done a lot of live videos, and I was doing live videos at that time. So I might have documented it via video, but I'm not really a writer, right? It's not my thing. And so I'm not a journaler. But there were some of the fears that were so out there for me, that were so weird, that I remembered them. I'll share one of them. It's kind of a funny one. It's like, my fear that day was to talk to a stranger in the Starbucks. It was very now, right? Out of Starbucks, and I felt like throwing up. I was so terrified. Talk how stupid I am. They might realize how ignorant and dumb I am, because those were the words that my ex-husband told me every day for 2 years. You're stupid. You're ignorant. And I believed that about myself. But I walked out of there and I was like, I did it. Oh my gosh, but it was so specific. Talk to a stranger in Starbucks.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of those fears were just, mostly just based on the fear of judgment, which is the number one fear. And I was able to work through that fear of judgment and no longer have that fear, which is, I'll tell you what, that is freeing, big time.
Big time. I could imagine just how you live your life. You like because it has to be contagious. It has, I'm pretty sure that because you're free, you've given others the tools to also, be free. And that's, to me, that's like so powerful. That's so powerful. So what cause, I know you do a lot of work. I know with your collaboration books, you donate, some to charity. So what cause is near and dear to you? Can you share with us about that?
Well, that's a hard question for me, because I had my own nonprofit previously, and I just wanted to help everybody. So really narrowing it down to one cause is challenging. But I would say, if I, in our books, we have different charities that we donate to. So I don't have like one specific cause that we're donating to. But if I were to really, really boil it down to one, it would be children learning entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's one out there called Lemonade Day. We did donate to them for our book, The Fearless Entrepreneurs, one of our books. And so it's called Lemonade Day. And they teach kids how to start a business, basically like the idea of starting your own lemonade stand, and learning how to run it as a real business. And so I love that concept, because, I didn't know about entrepreneurship until I was 51 years old.
Wow.
So I started later, but like, if I could have really dove into and learned about it when I was younger, would I have gotten into it maybe a little bit younger? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but that's one of my favorites.
Wow. I love that. I like children, I do that to my children. I had my first business when I was 13. I was selling, like those little icy, and my mother took it serious. She said, listen, I'm going to start you off. And then after that, you're responsible for, I created flyers. I was putting it out in the, like the people's homes and cars and all sorts of things. I actually even had an employee, which is my best friend, but then eventually, because we did it for the summer. So eventually she's like, listen, sis, I gotta go because I'm trying to enjoy my summer. But I'm telling you, I stayed the course. I was the last person standing. I was able to make money. And then my mother asked me, well, what do you want to do with it? So I said, well, we need school supplies. So I use my money to buy school supplies and new, clothes and, so forth and so on. So I always credit
That's
my
awesome.
mother. No, I do. I'm like, and even as an adult now, my family nickname, just so you know, is Mia. And so she's like, Mia, now you are not supposed to be working for nobody, what I'm saying? Because she's like, you've been doing it for so long. It kind of feels uncomfortable. So she's like, that you are meant to be your own boss, So I think that was amazing. There was one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you've ever been asked this question before, because you may know, or maybe you may not know, but my profession is educator. I'm in the field of early childhood education, and I've held many titles. And what I've discovered is that teaching is a calling. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a profession, it's not a career, because most teachers, they would admit, we don't get paid enough. We don't get paid enough. We don't get paid enough.
Right.
And so as you were speaking, I wanted to ask you, would you think, or do you think rather, the same holds true for a writer? Because for you to be able to accomplish those things, and you constantly, I'm not a writer, but to see what you've done. So would you agree, or have you ever considered, you know what, maybe this is not like a profession, this is what I'm called to do. So what's your thoughts about that?
Oh, that's a great question. I have not been asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did learn about, leading or teaching is that, there's that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So what I discovered, though, also is that when the teacher is ready, the students will appear.
Wait, I got to write that down. Hold on.
Right? That's a writer downer.
That's a writer downer. You're just giving all these nuggets. Come on. I love it.
And, the reason I came up with that is because I had never seen myself as a leader. Now, I was a leader, but I didn't see myself as a leader. So this is the differentiator, is that when we can see ourselves as that leader, that's when we can lead more effectively, because now we have intentional leadership. Whereas previously I was just leading because it was part of my inbred personality. But now I'm like, I have intention. So it's a completely different leadership skill. And then once I was ready to move into that leadership role, the teacher, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, who's around, who wants to learn? And people started showing up. And I needed those people to show up so that I could now intentionally lead, right? Or intentionally teach.
Right.
So that kind of goes with the book writing thing. I'm still not a writer. It's not one of my favorite things, but the book publishing, what I love about that is that I get to bring people together. Like in your book, She is an Overcomer. We had this opportunity to bring all these amazing women together and to connect them. So I do this business, really, for me, it's more about building community than it is about, a book publishing business. And it's also more about sharing people's stories than it is about a book publishing business. So for us, we do way more than just publish books. To me, it's not about the book itself. It's what the book does.
What the book does. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the intention right there. I love that. Even my experience as far as our book, I love the fact that, I know when we spoke, we we're like, oh, usually we have 30 women, but ours ended up being 31. And I was like, that's so God, it was so meaning, behind it. And I will attest that definitely, because I've even connected with a lot of the women, in the book. And so it's just been a humbling experience. Yeah. So what is your secret? What is your secret? How do you balance? How do you stay afloat? How do you give so much, right? But then also take care of yourself. What is your secret to balancing? I know, like I said, you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a business, you're a woman of God. How do you balance it all?
Yeah, well, there's that, again, another saying, right? There's so many amazing sayings out there, but the one saying I'm referring to here is that if you love the work you do, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And that's where I am. It took me decades to get here. I was in corporate for 36 years. I had 49 jobs in those 36 years. I worked my way up to working for a judge in the Court of Appeals. I'm, in San Diego. And so I did all the work, I did all that stuff, but I was never fulfilled over there, never fulfilled. And so when I left work, I was always looking for that. What else can I do to fulfill my life? Where can I have that work-life balance thing? So if you're doing what you absolutely love and you're never working a day in your life, you don't want balance. This is my opinion. Like, I don't want balance, because what that would do is that would bring what I'm experiencing, like this amazing life that I'm experiencing, which a lot of it has to do with my business. that would bring my level down. So why would I do that?
I get.
So
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So how I balance it is like, I balance it that, and I don't balance it really, is that if I'm not feeling good or if something is bringing me down, I don't do it. That's how I do it. Like if a great example is I don't spend much time with my family anymore, because I'll sometimes leave like, that was okay, or I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. And again, my personal life mission, have as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet. And if you don't fit in that, then I'm probably not going to be around you.
Right.
And that's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. I love it. As they say, drop the mic, period. End of discussion. Nothing else to be said. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because I feel like even though, the work that you've done in one area, it has affected your whole life and other areas in your life. And that's just what's amazing. And outside of that, like you said, it expanded even to the greater community. So what are some things that you want to share? What is Mrs. Sunshine up to next? How can the listeners either be involved, plug in, learn more about you? I know you have a writer's retreat. I mean, you have so much. So where can they find you? Just put a nice red bow on it, as they say.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me, and happy birthday. You can find me at actiontakerspublishing.com, actiontakerspublishing.com, because nothing happens without action. And, really what we're all about, our major thing is to help people to share their stories, to get started. Because a lot of people have a story to tell that they're not really sure how to get started. They don't know where to go. They don't want to write a whole book. Maybe you just want to write one chapter. Right. So this is ideal place to get started, is in a collaboration book. We have currently, I think we have like 8 different collaboration books that we're working on right now. So there might be one that's a fit for you, and there might not. I don't know, the answer to that, but just check us out as actiontakerspublishing.com. Yeah, we have writers retreats. We host networking meetings so that our authors have opportunities to get to know each other. And again, for me, it's all about the community that we're building, and how can we bring people together, those positive and uplifting people together, so that they can raise the vibration of the planet. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, just check us out and see if we're of interest for you.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Sunshine, from one sunshine to the next. I just want to tell you that I love you. Thank you so much for just spending this time, for sharing the nuggets. I have my notes here written down. And again, for those who are listening, I'm hoping, take that up. Let me just reframe that. I know that you have enjoyed this moment as I have enjoyed this moment. You've learned something, and I'm hoping and praying that you too will take action. Take action, yes. Take action, take action. And until next time, I will see you all in another episode of Sheba Shares. Check it out, check it out, check it out. We have other women coming on to celebrate my birthday with me. Peace.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.